HOA gone. Rogue. How two power-hungry neighbors tried to destroy my life. It's one of those moments you never forget, when everything around you turns upside down, and you're left questioning just how far some people will go to assert control. It was a regular morning for me, a sheriff in a small suburban community. I had just backed out of my driveway with a cup of coffee in hand, the sun barely rising and casting a soft glow on the road I'd lived on for years. The road that I owned. At least, I thought I did. Then, the unmistakable sound of popping tires echoed through the morning air. All four tires on my truck blew out, leaving me stranded in my own driveway. I glanced around, trying to process what had just happened, and there they were. Two middle-aged men, dressed like some kind of neighborhood vigilantes, standing by my truck. One had a clipboard in hand, the other was holding a radar gun that looked like it came straight from a yard sale. They were smirking, clearly proud of themselves. "You were speeding in a restricted area," one of them said, his voice full of self-importance, as he pointed to a sign that read, "Private road. Speed limit, 10 meters. Violators will be fined." I blinked. "This is my private road," I said, trying to stay calm, but already feeling the absurdity of the situation begin to set in. The man in the polo shirt with the clipboard checked his paper. "Doesn't matter. According to our HOA, this road is under their jurisdiction now. We clocked you at 18.3 mph. I let out a short laugh. 18.3 mph on my own property? He didn't laugh. He was dead serious. "They're spike strips," the other one said proudly. "Approved by the HOA. We're trying to make sure people don't drive too fast and hurt someone." I stared at him. They had literally put down spike strips on a private road that didn't belong to their HOA. I was the sheriff. This was my road. And yet, these two jokers thought they could just walk up, act like law enforcement, and issue citations. I didn't say much more. Instead, I pulled out my phone and started recording. They tried to stop me, claiming I couldn't record them, but I knew better. "I'm documenting illegal activity," I said calmly, holding up the camera. They backed off when they realized I wasn't playing their game. But before they left, they handed me a citation for a hostile attitude and refusal to cooperate with lawfully appointed HOA officials. I could hardly believe it. These guys, with their fake badges and amateur law enforcement, had crossed a line. And I wasn't about to let it slide. The HOA's power trip. Later that day, I drove to the HOA's office. I needed to understand just how far this nonsense went. When I arrived, I was met by Karen, the self-appointed commander of the HOA's security force. She was wearing tactical gear that was way too tight for her frame. A baseball cap with Commander emblazoned across it, and her clipboard was her weapon of choice. She welcomed me as if I were a new recruit joining her militia. As she proudly showed me the operation, it became clear just how much power she thought she had. The walls were plastered with maps of the neighborhood, photos of suspicious vehicles, and lists of fines for things like excessive lawn ornaments and unapproved holiday decorations. But the real kicker was the list of delinquents who had violated HOA rules, most of whom were simply regular residents trying to live their lives. Karen gave me a full presentation on what she called the Neighborhood Safety Force. They were apparently protecting the neighborhood from unsafe drivers, unsanctioned lemonade stands, and even misaligned trash bins. The spike strips, they were part of their safety initiative. This wasn't just absurd, it was borderline delusional. The more she talked, the more it became clear that Karen and her squad were operating outside of any legal framework. They were pretending to be law enforcement, handing out fines for made-up violations and running a suburban dictatorship. When I pressed her on the legality of what they were doing, she waved it off. "We have alternate jurisdiction," she said, as if that made sense. I couldn't stop myself from shaking my head. "You have no jurisdiction. You're making up laws." The tipping point. The situation escalated quickly. Karen and her HOA cronies had been harassing residents for weeks. People were afraid to speak out, fearing retaliation. But when the story went viral, everything changed. I leaked footage of Karen's HOA war room to the media, and the internet went wild. She became an internet sensation, but not in the way she'd hoped. Memes flooded social media, and people started to see her for what she was: a woman with too much power and no idea how to use it responsibly. The pressure mounted. Delivery drivers, contractors, even kids on skateboards were being stopped by Karen's security. The HOA was out of control, and it wasn't just a joke anymore. That's when I decided it was time to step in. The confrontation. Armed with a warrant, I and my deputies arrived at the HOA office in the early hours of the morning. Karen was there, of course, pacing like she was waiting for a battle. When I showed her the warrant, she tried to use some legal mumbo-jumbo to claim immunity, but it didn't work. We stormed in and began taking down her operation. Documents were seized, including fake citations, plans for spike strip deployments, and even equipment designed to intimidate residents. Karen fought us every step of the way, but it was clear her reign of terror was over. The fallout. Karen was arrested, and the residents of Oak Hills were finally free. The HOA board was dissolved, and the county took control. The spike strips were destroyed, and the golf cart, the one with the flashing lights that had terrorized the neighborhood, was impounded. But what struck me most was how people finally found their voices. No longer afraid of Karen's fake authority, they started speaking out, laughing, and reclaiming their lives. They brought pies to the station to thank me, and one even offered to mow my lawn for a month. It was a simple gesture, but it meant a lot. Closing thoughts. In the end, this wasn't just about a power struggle between me and Karen. It was about the dangers of unchecked authority. It's easy to think that power comes from badges, uniforms, or titles, but real leadership comes from action, responsibility, and knowing when to back down. What do you think? Was Karen's neighborhood defense justified, or was it a case of someone taking things too far? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get the conversation going. How far is too far when it comes to authority in your own community?